What is going on, everyone? Looks like we are live now. As always, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. We're going to go over this draft right now. I'm not on the clock in any draft, so we'll pretty much hop right into the draft I'll do with all of you. But I wanted to go over something that I guess semi-unfortunately happened to me yesterday night into today. So we'll let everyone roll in here. We'll talk about this team that, yeah, I've got 7 straight wide receivers that I drafted. It was not on purpose. I did not intend to do that. I was going for a build that we'll talk about. Maybe I'll mention it here, but we're probably going to talk about either next Sunday or the Sunday after that. But again, let me know if you guys can all hear me, and we'll get started with the draft in a second. But yeah, basically what happened was I was going in with the build that we'll talk about in a few weeks of 5 wide receivers to start off with. Then you go with running back in round 6, 7, 8, 9. You're looking 2 quarterbacks, a tight end. You kind of finish off with a lot of running backs, a few more wide receivers. Unfortunately, I didn't know I was on the clock before I went to sleep. And so this Mike Evans pick was an auto pick. I probably would have gone with Madison, but I guess I don't know exactly what I would have drafted. And then I look at the next round, and we have Addison here, who was like a really good value. There were no good values at running back, and I was like, well, I'm not just like going to take a running back for nothing. So we've started off with 7 wide receivers in this league. Definitely didn't think it was optimal. So I wake up this morning, and I was like, well, maybe there are some builds where it is optimal. And so I haven't actually looked into the results too much yet. But this is what we ran for testing out if there's a build that you can possibly do where you start off with 7 wideouts. How can you finish that off optimally? It looks like the number one thing I can do is take a running back in the next round, take a quarterback in 9. We'll finish off with 6 running backs, 3 quarterbacks, and 2 tight ends. That's the optimal build so far. I was looking at it briefly before, and I realized that I didn't, I guess you can't see fully everything when we do this. I feel you guys will end up seeing that. I didn't test out like quarterback, but I will say doing the runs, the worst teams that we're grading out were if I took like both quarterback and tight end the next 2 rounds. It seems like tight end shows up a lot more at the bottom than it does at the top. So I'm going to hold off on tight end. We're going to take tight end late, and then I'll definitely take, running back, quarterback in the next 2. But figured it was kind of a unique start doing 5 wide receivers. So I'll definitely show you guys the team once we finish drafting that one, and I'll upload those results to the Underdog app so you guys can all see that. But let's start off. Let's start this off. So I'll post this in the description, and yeah, we have to start earlier this week. Usually this is going to be at 6:30 each week, but have to do it earlier this week because we're driving like 5 hours tonight, and I can't start that at like 8 o'clock. So see how many people hop in here. I'm assuming maybe, or I should probably order this one. I'm assuming we won't have as many in the chat right now, but fire away questions, and then I'll tweet out the team as well. There we go. All right. The draft has been tweeted out. Let's see if we've got any questions in the chat. Not really. All right. Etienne or Dobbins this year? I mean, Etienne's definitely going to be projected much better than J.K. Dobbins. In terms of like who would I prefer drafting, I would prefer drafting J.K. Dobbins just because like he goes, I guess off the top of my head, I guess we can pull up the rankings here. Etienne goes in this general range. I'm behind ADP, so he's ADP 37. My guess is that I have him ranked in the low 40s, something like that. Actually, I'll put this in here as well. Okay, I'm pretty sure I have him ranked in like the low 40s for overall, and I basically never end up with ETN. I like Tank Bigsby. I think Bigsby is going to take more receiving work than a lot of people think. And what that's going to do is take an already overrated reception ceiling from ETN, and it's going to make it even lower. There's going to be plenty of games where it's only like, 1, 2 receptions. And if Bigsby's also taking some on the ground, if they're throwing the ball a ton, like it's not set up super well for ETN to have like a huge ceiling. And when you look at the running backs being drafted ahead of him, it's like, I mean, he's going ahead of Gibbs, he's going ahead of Najee Harris, he's going ahead of like a lot of like decent running backs, and right behind like, Breece Hall, Jacobs, ones that were like a lot more assurance. So I am not a huge fan of ETN. And then Dobbins, obviously, like if you're asking straight up 37 versus 55, obviously we're still taking ETN ahead of Dobbins, but the value of Dobbins I think is much better. I think I have Dobbins a little bit ahead of ADP just because I project the Ravens to be like a really, really good offense this season. Plenty of touchdowns scored there. So there's the answer to that question. Do you think Lamar will decline due to finally getting his contract? No, I think Lamar's going to have a better season this year. The offense is just set up to where, like they're going to throw the ball a lot, and you hear that, and you're maybe just like, ooh, I don't love that for Lamar because, he's mobile. But it's really more just that like he's probably still going to have like 1,000 rushing yards. But when you pass the ball, you're also playing at like theoretically a faster pace, even if the pace isn't faster. Just the simple fact that like a run play, which will turn into, a running clock 100% of the time, at least, when we're outside of like 2 minutes, whatever. But the clock's going to keep running if they keep running the ball. But as they're passing, there are going to be incompletions. The clock is going to stop. It's just going to lead to more efficiency as well. You're going to score faster if you're throwing the ball more. So there's going to be much more plays. And that's the big thing we're hitting on with Lamar is that we just want more plays. We're not like super concerned that maybe they're throwing the ball a lot more and that's taking away some runs. Like if they're getting a ton more plays, he's still going to have his 1,000 yards, but it's going to, add on a lot of production for the offense. So, and I definitely like Lamar this season. His ADP is a little bit aggressive at 33. I have Joe Burrow ranked ahead of him in his ADP 45. So it'll end up with a ton of Lamar, but like a Lamar and Mark Andrews stack is like really, really high upside this season. So we're at 6. 6 is basically like the worst pick you can get in these. You're basically going Eckler or Travis Kelce. I don't love Travis Kelce builds. I would definitely go with Kelce at that pick because he's got the upside to have 150 and 3 touchdowns in the fantasy playoffs. Like you just want to have exposure to him. But also Austin Eckler typically does fall to pick 10, 11. I think I have some Eckler teams I drafted earlier. I'm going to pick like 13, 14. Those teams are going to crush me if I'm going up against them at pick 6 where I drafted him. We'll pull this up. So because that's the case, I never draft Eckler at like 6, 7 in those because so many teams are getting a better start than you. I'll just draft Travis Kelce. This is a private draft with all of you, so I'm treating this much more like, like a redraft league. Like I'm playing against, 11 other people here. I would take Eckler at this pick because I just think he's the best pick at this spot. So difference between drafting with all of you in more like these drafts here are more redraft style. For the tournaments, you got to think much more about, well, what's the field doing? I'm not just playing these 11. I'm playing, all these other people. How can I be unique? How can I differentiate? How can I think about fantasy playoffs, stuff like that? But for this league is really just based off of points for the entire season. And I think Eckler would just be the best pick at this spot. Hero RB builds typically went out. The model loves Hero RB builds. I would be perfectly fine taking Jonathan Taylor or Nick Chubb. I would not take any other running back at 19 at this spot. I would love Chris Olave. I think we're talking about him. What's today? Today's Tuesday. We're talking about him in the Thursday video. So stay tuned for the Thursday video. I broke down Olave versus T. Higgins versus Devonta Smith in that video. So stay tuned for my breakdown there. But I don't want to spoil too much. But I love Chris Olave this season. So he's going to win. So more questions. In redraft, you're at the 6th pick, just like I am here. It has me in the binds. Yeah, well, it's a terrible pick. You might trade your 6 and 19 for 11, 14. You're not giving up anything there. So, yeah, I would probably prefer that. If you could trade back to the 11 pick and get 11, 14, especially if you also get to keep the rest of the 6 picks. So, like, if you were going to get 6, 19 and then, like, 30, 43, 54, all of that, if you could do, 11, 14 and then also get 30, I would like that, obviously. But yeah, 6 is gross because it's like, it's pretty obvious that it starts off in some order. Like, you can order it however you want, but it's pretty obvious it starts off Jefferson, Chase, and McCaffrey, like 1, 2, 3. And then you've got Kupp and Tyreek Hill kind of sitting there like, yeah, it makes sense to draft them. You're basically forced, in my opinion, to take Eckler at 6, but it's like the difference between Eckler, Kelsey, Diggs, Brown, Bijan, Adams, like that whole group, not that much. So at 11, yeah, you're going to get a rock solid one of them. Then you're just going to get your pick amongst this next tier of really good players. Whereas at 6, you're starting to get a little bit more risky. Like, definitely, Higgins, Pollard, Devonta Smith, Mahomes, even counting Olave and Waddle. Like, I kind of think that's, and maybe even Chubb added on there. That's kind of in that, like, second tier. You really have, like, a top, like, 16 players here that are kind of in a tier of their own. Some people would argue Jonathan Taylor also in that second tier with this pick. At 30, if any of the quarterbacks were there, that's a really good pick. Only the top 3, they are not, so we won't go there. Jacobs, I'm not super concerned that he's going to, like, hold out. He's definitely frustrated with them not, like, adding people, but I'm not super concerned he's going to hold out. I would probably take Jacobs if he was available at this pick. I have Mark Andrews ranked at this spot. I typically like in these big tournaments drafting Mark Andrews closer to, like, that later portion of the third round, just because you can just get better builds than other people. I don't want to take him ahead of ADP, but given that no one really stands out, there's no, like, Breece Hall's a good pick. He's not, an amazing pick, especially with some rumors about getting running backs there. Wide receivers, definitely no one stands out there. I just think Mark Andrews is probably going to have a phenomenal season this year. Like I said, when I'm talking about Lamar, they're going to throw the ball a ton. That's definitely going to help their number one target. I talked about Mark Andrews in depth in the Friday video. I had to record early this week. So in the Friday video, we're going to get a big take on Mark Andrews. In the Thursday video, you're getting a big take on Chris Olave. So I promise I'm drafting the people I'm talking about in these videos. But like I said, so basically last year, if I can remember off the top of my head, was the worst season in points per game for Baltimore. I'll pull this up. You guys always yell at me when I don't get the draft board up. Since I believe 2013, and it was the lowest plays per game since I believe 2004. So a horrific season where everyone was injured, they were playing slow and just not scoring for Baltimore. If we're gonna, assume better health this season, they're scoring more, they're throwing more, they're getting more plays off. Like, Mark Andrews is going to be a fantasy stud this season and probably should be going at, like, the back half of the second round. And so getting him in the mid third, already locking in a running back I feel obviously very good about. Eckler is going to score a billion touchdowns, have a ton of receptions. He's going to be awesome. Chris Olave, a wide receiver, I think can finish, realistically could finish inside the top 5 this season. And Mark Andrews, I'm hitting on, a stud at, like, 3 different positions. So I like this start. Looking at, like, what we can do after this. If Lamar makes it to us, I know that, like, I have Joe Burrow ranked ahead. I would obviously rather the stack of Lamar. So if Lamar makes it to us, he just goes, I would have drafted him. Looking at quarterback, I would not be against either one of Joe Burrow or Justin Fields. We do miss out on the stack with Joe Burrow, which, like, makes him more appealing. So even though I have the ranking Joe Burrow, I probably actually would lean Fields because you have another opportunity to stack him, whereas we missed the 2 best stacks for Burrow already. At running back, I would definitely like Gibbs, and I'd probably take Gibbs ahead of Joe Burrow. If I don't get Gibbs, the top ranked has an ADP of 53. We're at 43. That's not something I want to partake in. So we're not going to reach there. So we're not going to end up getting him. Wide receiver, any number of these wide receivers, I'm totally fine with. Mike Williams is my top projected there. I have also Austin Eckler, so I can kind of start off with a Charger stack with the possibility that I end up with maybe Justin Herbert at the next pick. So that probably makes sense for me to do. And then at tight end, that's unfortunate. At tight end, if we had like a really good value, we take it, but we already have Mark Andrews. So we can't do Mike Williams. Keenan Allen's off the board as well, so we can't take that stack. So it's basically, do we want Justin Fields or do we want Drake London? I think I can still get a good wide receiver at my next pick. I think I want to do Justin Fields. I don't draft very much of him. We drafted him right at ADP in this one, and I also have drafted a ton of Drake London. But I kind of like this start of getting someone that could finish, top 5 at each of these positions in our first few picks. And we have opportunities with Fields. We can get DJ Moore if he ends up falling to our next pick, but we could go with Mooney late. We could go with Cole Kmet late. Go with Claypool, honestly, in the final round. We could honestly pair him with like Herbert or Roshan and just say, there might be games where they score 4 touchdowns. They're all on the ground. We can lock up all those points. So we have a lot of different opportunities to stack with Fields. But I would have been fine drafting Drake London at that spot. All right, next question. Treylon Burks or Jahan Dotson? Always find that decision in round 7. What do the rankings say? Let's pull that up. I'm pretty sure it'll say Burks. Yeah, so Burks ahead of Jahan. They're right next to each other, so it's not a big difference. I like Treylon Burks, but I also like Jahan Dotson. They're 2 first-round picks last season. They're both, very, very good young talents. Both have question marks at the quarterback position, but my lean is Burks because Dotson still has Terry McLaurin, who's also a phenomenal wide receiver. Burks, if you were trying to think about the bull case for each one of them, who could really hit their ceiling, I guess McLaurin can get hurt, but who else is there? It's Nick Westbrook-Akine and Kyle Phillips. That's it. And Chigakonkwo, who's not going to take he's going to take targets, but not insane amount of targets. I just think the ceiling's a little bit higher on Treylon Burks, so I'd go there. Okay, we're up again. We're almost up again. We're not going quarterback here. Let's take a look at tight end. If there was a huge value, we take it. There is not. So we're definitely going running back or wide receiver. Aaron Jones. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, okay. So Miles Sanders, not a bad pick. That's not too much for reach. But the obvious pick here, DJ Moore fell to us. We have Justin Fields. It's not a decision. That's just the pick that you make. You're getting more at value. I talked about this in, last Saturday's video. DJ Moore is a faller, and I really like him as a talent, but he was going in the 4th round, and I'm not cool with DJ Moore in the 4th round. But if he goes in the mid-5th round, I am cool with it. We get him at 5-6. We pair him with Justin Fields. So I'm not a DJ Moore hater. I'm a truther. I think he's a very, very good player, but we're taking him in the 5th round, the mid-5th round, and later. And that's where we end up getting him here. This is a really good start, guys. We got the Fields Moore stack. We've got Olave we love, Andrews, Eckler. It's a good start. That's all I'm saying. We got a good start here. Who's your favorite last pick on Underdog? I do. So it's a very good question. I do like to rotate because let's be honest, we all have these sleepers we like late, but we're going to be wrong on so many of them. So I don't want to end up with 50% of an 18th round pick that I'm 25% confident is going to have a good season. I want to rotate through that. People I get a lot of though. Puka, the rookie wide receiver for the Rams, just because it's wide open after Cooper Kupp. It's not really locked in what the wide receiver core is going to look like there. And if he can, push for a lot of playing time on what should be, good passing offense, that could be really good. Let's pull up. I like keeping the draft board up so you guys are happy, but let's pull up the rankings here and see. I end up with Nathaniel Dell probably a little bit too much, so I need to pull back on him. Also, Underdog, when you have this and I'm drafting live, let me look at the note. I want to see what these notes are. I'll do wide receivers right now. I drafted a Michael Wilson today. So basically just kind of hitting on some rookies. Sometimes I go after Mecole Hardman just in the off chance that, he gets, like a 70-yard touchdown on the last week. Justin Ross, I've been taking more of for the chance that, he could legitimately win like the wide receiver 2 spot for Kansas City. I was starting off getting more Booty, but not as much anymore. I need some positive reports from camp for him to start taking more of him. Tim Patrick, if I took Russell Wilson. So that's kind of what I'm looking at wide receiver. Running back, I usually like Spears falls sometimes, so I get him sometimes. But Keyshawn Vaughn, where is sometimes Fournette is available super late and take him. Chris Rodriguez, I take pretty late sometimes. That's kind of it. I've done Sean Tucker before. I've done Dwayne McBride before, but not usually a lot. I don't usually spend that last pick on tight end, but I've done Michael Mayer. He's fallen to the last pick before. But I don't usually spend that last pick on tight end. So I'd say those are typically the picks that I've been landing on. Okay, 67. No crazy value, but like I'm not against taking Kyle Pitts as long as the bye week's there. It is. Wide receiver, I would probably take Jackson ahead of him. Mike Evans would also be a good pick. Marquise Brown would be a good pick. So I'm probably not going to end up with Pitts here. I probably only would do those two. So Marquise Brown. Running backs are not a value. The top by ADP is Cook. Top by rankings is Rachaad White. But they're reaches at this point. So we're not going to do that. And then all the quarterbacks are reaches as well. So Marquise Brown, add a little bit of upside to our lineup. Wide receiver 1 now for the Cardinals now that, of course, Hopkins was released. Still don't know where Hopkins is going to go. Obviously not. Arizona has very little competition behind him. I don't think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be like the worst team in the league this season. But, he's a player that could have 6 for 120 and 2 touchdowns, and especially for me, kind of, I wouldn't say avoiding wide receiver early, but like one wide receiver in the first 4 rounds, like is relatively weak at the position. And so being able to hit on some higher upside players in the middle rounds is definitely a sharp thing that we should probably be doing here. All right. Which draft is this? Best Ball Mania 4 or private? So this one's private, but I will say, I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on doing a Best Ball Mania draft. Maybe we could do that like next week or something. I know you all want to partake in these drafts, and it's fun, drafting on screen with all of you. But I'm curious what their thoughts are. Am I allowed to? I can start a poll. Okay, I'm putting a poll in the comment section here for next week's live stream. 1 will be Best Ball Mania 4 draft. Other one, private. All right. Let's ask. I have no idea what that's going to show up as, but click away. What do you guys think? Because I'm curious. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe some of you want to see a Best Ball Mania 4 draft live, because also the picks will be different. Like, a lot of the people here are drafting based off the rankings, or at least based off of watching the videos and stuff like that. And so, like, I get sniped a lot more in these drafts than I do on the Best Ball Mania draft. So we'll see. But I'll leave that up there for a while. And it's not going to be like every time. Like, I'll rotate if you guys want me to rotate through. Okay, we're at 78. Quarterback. Nah. We already have a quarterback. If one was a value, we'd take it. Running back. Rachaad White's not a bad pick here. Not a value, though. I mean, we're reaching by a little bit, but I like Rachaad White, so maybe we go there. Slight value on Jahan Dotson. There's no there's no stacks. I might do Jahan. It probably helps our team out. Yeah, it helps our team out a little bit more. Again, we avoided it for a little bit. You always want a lot of very strong wide receivers on Underdog. It's a very volatile position. We are still assuming that most weeks, like my assumption with this draft is I'm going to take a tight end very, very late. I'm just going to wait for the best value. Like if someone becomes a huge value, I'm going to pounce on that. But my assumption is I'm going to wait for a while and take 2. And so I'm not going to have that production in the flex spot. It's going to have to be wide receiver, especially because I only have 1 running back at this point right now. So I need a lot of wide receivers. So we're going to keep attacking that position. How did I? Oh, Best Ball Mania 4 is crushing it. 83% of you saying that. So we'll see if that continues. But if it does, we'll do a Best Ball Mania 4 draft next week. That'll be fun. I feel like we should do that. Okay. When does your next draft strategy drop? You started a slow draft. You're implementing the 4 running back one every single Sunday. We have a very structured channel here. Mock draft Monday. Live streams for Underdog on Tuesday. Wednesday, some sort of either ranking or draft strategy video. So this week is, tomorrow's video is going to be tight ends. When have historically in redraft league, it's always redraft on Wednesday. When have in redraft leagues, championship teams drafted the tight end position. Thursday is always a player breakdown. I always ask you guys what you want to see. We do that in the next week. Friday, some sort of top 5 style video. So this week it's going to be league winners. Who do I think has the highest upside this season? Saturday, we look at ADP. One week we look at risers. Next week we look at fallers. And then Sunday is draft strategy. I don't know which Underdog strategy we're doing this week because I haven't looked at the teams to see which one I've implemented. My plan was, I don't remember what it's called, but the one where you draft the 5 wide receivers in a row. But we'll see. We'll see which one. Maybe, honestly, if that other draft went a little bit faster, I might be able to use it for the 7 wide receiver one, but we'll see. I don't know which one, but it's always on Sundays. So we definitely talked too long. We screwed this one up. Rashad White's still on the board, though. We're probably taking him. So no more wide receiver value. Everyone here's a reach. We're also entering the range I hate for wide receiver. It has to be White, right? Yeah. I mean, thank you, everyone. I feel like that's very, very good value. I was anticipating taking him at 77 had Jahan, or 78, I guess, had Jahan not been there. So getting White, that never happens. I never have someone in the queue for the entire time and no one takes him. Thank you, all of you. But yeah, Sunday. Is Kyler going to be a bust this year? I mean, you want to see where I have Kyler ranked? It's behind Kenny Pickett and Jimmy Garoppolo and Jordan Love and Desmond Ridder and Bryce Young. Like, I have Kyler ranked way down here. It's really just because we haven't heard anything, and I'm anticipating him not being healthy. That's just my guess to start the year. And also them being bad. And it's like, if you're Arizona, and I think Kyler's going to recover fine from the injury. But if you're Arizona, he can't come back until week 8, week 9. Aren't you pushing that a little bit? Because, you're going to stink. You're in contention for, a top-end pick. And that means either you're getting, an insane quarterback. Maybe they can get with Marvin Harrison Jr. There's going to be some really good picks at the top end. And if they're a terrible team, why would they rush Kyler back? It's in their best interest to not do that, especially for his health long-term if they want to stick with him, or for getting the high-end pick. So I don't think he's going to come back super early. It'd be kind of weird if they rushed him back. And so, yeah, bust in fantasy. Obviously, overall, I think he's going to play well when he's back, but also he has no one to throw to, so it's going to be tough for him. Running back's gross. We can look at Dylan, the upside of Pirine, but it's gross, definitely. Gosh. I mean, the best pick is probably Michael Thomas. I've moved Michael Thomas down in the rankings recently, but I mean, I have Chris Olave, so I should take Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, and then I should take Derek Carr later on. This would be a really, really good stack to have. Yeah, I should probably do it. And Michael Thomas is here having me just kind of moved him down. I definitely talked negatively about him in the Thursday video, so don't watch this after seeing that. But I think the stack wins out. We're getting an ADP value of around 7.2. He's near the top, even taking him in the rankings a little bit. I don't need him to produce. Basically, he was horrendous last season, even when healthy. At getting open, his route success rates were horrendous. Olave's so clearly their number one, but he can score touchdowns. He can still have some quality games. So we're definitely going to be looking for Derek Carr. But his ADP is 145. What's our pick? We'll take him at 139. I wouldn't risk it at 150. At 139, round 12, we'll take Derek Carr. Hope that he's there. I don't think it's worth it for us to take him at 126 just to lock it in. We could probably do, I mean, we don't have really any stacks right now. I guess we could go Sam Howell with Jahan. Like, there'll be someone we can take later on, something we can do to where I don't want to force the Derek Carr pick, but I definitely would prefer we got him. So I'll pull this up. We're not up for a little bit. Do you think Jerry Jeudy is undervalued? I mean, if you look at the rankings, you'll see the answer is yes a little bit, but I have this whole range of, so Jeudy probably went around here. Jeudy, where'd he go? There he is. He went at 44. This whole range of McLaurin, Watson, London, Jeudy, Hopkins, probably stop. So 5. 6, Mike Williams. I'll throw Mike Williams in there as well. This whole range of 6 wide receivers is so close to each other in the projections that it really should just be like grab one of those. If you believe in the talent of Drake London, put him at the top. If you believe the Denver offense goes off, put Jeudy at the top. If you believe that the Chargers are going to be highly efficient this season, that Mike Williams gets a ton of deep balls, put him at the top. If you think Hopkins lands on, Kansas City, put him at the top. They're all the same. So, and I think they should be going in this range. I think they deserve to basically be like the first 6 picks almost of the 4th round. They should go in like the early to mid 4th round. You should get through that range. Then we should start hitting on some of these quarterbacks, TJ Hawkinson, that next range of wide receiver after that. So I think he's like appropriately valued, even though I technically have him projected like slightly behind in that group. You traded Devonta Smith. Wait, we're almost up. Yeah, please. We traded Devonta Smith for Drake London and Khalil Herbert in a 14-team, 1-quarterback PPR Dynasty League. Need running back depth. What do you think? I think that's fine. I don't have the rankings up right now. I could pull them up, but I don't know. But Devonta Smith and Drake London are probably very close in the rankings, and so adding on Khalil Herbert probably just makes that a very, very fair trade. I wouldn't say you won the trade. I think it's just an even swap. You needed running back help, especially in a 14-team league if you're weak at that position. I think it's a fair trade. I think it's a completely fair trade. Also, your logo is the Falcons. So, it was probably you also wanting to root for Drake London, which I am absolutely fine doing. Quarterback. We're not going to do that because we're hoping for Derek Carr. Oh, no. All right. A-Chain. All right. Well, there goes A-Chain. I was going to say A-Chain would be a top pick here, and would be a slam dunk pick if we knew that Dalvin Cook was not going there. We don't know if that's the case. Rashad Penny definitely makes sense for us capturing some upside. We still only have 2 there. Mooney's our top player, but by ADP, that's not a fantastic pick. That's not a bad pick, though. I think we should go with Penny. I think Penny's a smarter pick for us. You could argue Mooney. Mooney would be the 6th wide receiver. We have now attacked wide receiver at least a decent amount. I know it made sense for the stack, but it's also, that's a pretty big reach, and there's at least a chance. This is optimal for us, right? If we could get Mooney, then Derek Carr, it would be awesome. It would be a really good start to the draft. Hopefully it happens, but we'll see. The 6 through 8 range, every time someone adds 6 through 8 range is brutal. It really is. You're just losing value at that spot. Your plan is to keep the rest of the 6 picks for those of you who were with us at the beginning. I think it's do it. I think it's move back to 11-14, keep the rest of the 6 picks. You don't understand Olave in the 2nd round. Watch the Thursday video. But, basically, I think he would have won Rookie of the Year. If people understand Garrett Wilson in the 2nd round, and I think Olave would have won Rookie of the Year had he not suffered the concussion, and was it a hamstring injury late in the season? He had 2 injuries that cost him to miss 2 full games and then knocked him out early in 2 other games. He wins Rookie of the Year if he stays healthy in those games. His route success rate, his success rate against man coverage is off the charts. He was unbelievable as a rookie. Now he's got Derek Carr, who just force-fed 180 targets to Adams. And I know that Adams is still a better wide receiver than Olave, but like there's a chance that Derek Carr force feeds Olave. And then you look at yards per reception for Adams, like Carr was launching the ball downfield to Devonta Adams. He was forcing the ball way downfield. Like Olave is a really, really good deep threat. He's got great speed. He's great downfield, great on deep routes. It's a really good match. And if he's going to force him the ball, that's going to be awesome. So Mooney goes, unfortunately for us. Aaron Rodgers would be a really good pick here, but if we're hoping to get Carr at the next round, I should keep him on the board. Tight end wise, there's nothing. Wide receiver wise, there's nothing. We should probably just take Kendre Miller at this spot. Get another running back on the roster. Yeah. We should probably just do that. Also talking about Kendre Miller in a video this week. Very high upside. Let's be honest. Like if Kamara gets suspended for like 6 to 8 weeks, something like that, Kendre Miller is going to be like a running back 2 probably in those weeks. And for me to get him in the 11th round as my 4th running back, I don't even care if that's all he gives me. Like if all he gives me is 6 to 8 weeks of production without Alvin Kamara and then just like sprinkles in beyond that, like he's going to be well worth this pick. And I get to pair him with some upside running backs that I have over there. So I like that. Again, we're hoping for Carr at the next pick, but we'll see if we get sniped. Will I ever do a dynasty draft? I don't know. It's tough to do dynasty drafts on the channel because there realistically is not actually that many days. Even uploading every single day, like you start to put the content onto a schedule, and you're like, there's barely any room to like add in new videos and stuff. So it's just like there's just not enough room when we get to this part of the season to like add it in for a day because the dynasty community is very strong. They think they are bigger than they are. It's a small subset basically of the community, and there's not enough time. So maybe someday, but dynasty content is more reserved for the website. You know, got the models on the website, projecting production for running backs and wide receivers in the rookie season. Given their rookie season in year 2 and year 3, we've got the rankings up there. So a lot of content on the site for Dynasty, not as much on YouTube. Assuming you only draft 1 quarterback and 1 tight end, how many running backs or wide receivers do you look to make up your bench with breakouts, handcuffs, rookies, etc.? Okay, so we're saying we have 7 bench spots to go between running back and wide receiver because you don't want backup tight end. Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, typically I don't really roster handcuffs, but like if you say drafted Kamara and you wanted to spend one on Kendre Miller, or you drafted Derrick Henry and you want to spend one on Tyjae Spears, I think 1 is totally fine to handcuff. Like you're definitely not going to lose a league because of that. So probably would reserve 1 for the handcuff. For breakouts, kind of talking about, rookies, really young players, you probably want 2 to 3 more of like, pure players that you're like, I'm totally fine if this person stinks, I cut them because like there's really good free agents available in the early round. So if you've got 1 handcuff, if you've got say 3 of those upside players, that leaves 3 spots left on the bench where you're getting more consistent players like Michael Gallup, right? Michael Gallup is probably not going to go out there and have some huge breakout season and shatter his ADP, but he's probably going to be pretty good. So the Michael Gallups of the world, who's another player that kind of fits that bill? Honestly, Nico's probably going to have a solid role, but probably not going to have some huge breakout season. Alec Pierce maybe fits that mold, although his floor is definitely lower. Even like Curtis Samuel, Curtis Samuel is going to be involved to some degree. So players like that, it's probably like 3 of those, 3 breakouts, and a handcuff. That might be like a good kind of shake up there. So let's see if we get to, if this dude takes already having Rodgers and Tua, if he takes Derek Carr from us, that wouldn't even like make sense. He doesn't even have a stack for it. So yeah, that wouldn't even make sense for him. All right. I like the team, guys. We got the stack. Derek Carr, I didn't even realize it was part of the stack, but Derek Carr, Kendre Miller, Chris Olave, and Michael Thomas. we have stacked Justin Fields with DJ. There we go, DJ Moore. We still have Mark Andrews here. So Cole Kmet would be a really good pick for us in the next round. Theoretically, would have been sharp for us to maybe take Cole and then do Derek Carr, maybe, because we do have a team here that has not drafted a tight end, and we've got multiple teams that didn't draft tight end yet, and multiple teams that only drafted one. So he's on the chopping block for people. But I will say Cole Kmet falls a lot in drafts. But if we don't get Cole, it's probably too early for Marvin Mims, and I hate where we're at for wide receiver. I'd rather just wait. So we're gonna wait. Running back, I mean, Roshan would definitely make sense for us. Continue that stack. So hopefully we can get one of Kmet or Roshan. Quarterback, if we do, I think I have to just force a wide receiver. I feel like that's what I'd have to do. Cole goes. We only have one left. I would probably have to force Hyatt. And Roshan does go. Yeah, I think you have to. Shaheed's also there. I can get up the next pick though, right? 166, 163. I guess I should hope I can get Hyatt then Shaheed, because Shaheed is also someone you love stacking with the quarterback. Because we saw last year, what was his first two plays? Were they both the 40-yard touchdowns? But I shouldn't reach 17 spots ahead of ADP to get him here. So we'll go with some upside. Let's take Hyatt. Hope that he has a few games where he really, really hits deep, has a couple hundred touchdown games kind of added in here. We've got some good Marquise Brown's a high upside player, Jahan, Hyatt. So we've got some good high upside players here. But yeah, we really want Shaheed in the next pick. See if it happens. I think I skipped over a Dynasty question here. You're in a Dynasty league with 8 keeper spots. My goodness. You currently have Ramondre, Pierce, Madison. Okay. Do you think it would be smart to target a top running back? Not very confident in those 3. Maybe I'm crazy. Well, I guess, who do you have? You think it might be better to target a guy like Diggs if you feel more confident in your running backs? I would lean towards keeping wide receivers. Like you have AJ Brown. I would definitely keep AJ Brown. I will say I think maybe Ridley and Keenan Allen are probably not the best to keep in Dynasty. They're not going to have like a ton of long-term value. Ridley's definitely older than people think. But if it's ever close, you probably want. Wait a minute. Oh my gosh. Okay. I believe the question is a startup. It's an auction style. Okay, so when you're drafting, I would draft. At least I think this is what it is. I would draft wide receivers. Like I would plan on trying to keep wide receivers for that Dynasty league. If you're getting 8 keepers, they have a much longer shelf life. They're easier to hit on. Like I would lean wide receiver. I would not lean towards players like Keenan Allen and Ridley, though. It's unlikely you really want to keep them for a super long time. You're playing in a 2-quarterback, 2-flex league. Should tier 2 quarterbacks be going in the first round? Tier 2 quarterbacks? In the first round of a super flex league, you should have Hurts, Mahomes, Allen for sure. Probably back half of the first round should be Burrow, Fields, Lamar. And then like right at the beginning of round 2 should probably be Herbert and Lawrence. So that's where I would imagine, even with the 2 flex spots. I guess it really depends on what you think tier 2 is, though. Pickens or Deontay? I have no idea. I genuinely have no. Rashid went. I have no idea who's gonna be better, but I haven't been drafting either one of them. I think they're both going a little bit too early, just in a range that I don't want. But if I had to pick, whichever one's left, I don't want to choose between 2 of them. So if there's 2 of them, I'm not picking. If there's one of them, sure, you can take whichever one's left, but they're not targets for me. I would take Jerome Ford if he falls. One more pick. Wide receiver. Don't like any of them, to be honest. We do need. our next tight end. But again, I said I'd want to wait for a value. I don't think anyone's a value yet. Laporta's the closest to that. I think it's more beneficial for us to just draft Ford here and just really end running back. I think that would be it, right? Yeah. I think that would end running back for us. You could argue Laporta for sure at that pick. I'm really cool drafting rookies with that high-end tight end because we're assuming that high-end tight end is like most weeks filling in our tight end spot. Laporta, a very high-end rookie prospect. I would have been fine with that pick as well. But I think it was good getting Ford here because, running back really does start to fall off. Like the rest of the running backs that I'm even comfortable drafting really just are what you see through Vaughn and maybe Gus. But that's it. Like once we get to this spot up, this is it for all that I would really want to be drafting. And so finishing it off, Eckler, White, Penny, Miller, Ford. I think that's enough, especially because we took Eckler early, finishing it with 5. We finished with our quarterback. One more tight end. So even if we took tight end, we have 15, 16, 17, 18. We have 4 more picks left. We can do 3 more wide receivers. And given how confident I feel in a lot of these, I want pure weekly upside. I want players who will probably have 0 points in a lot of weeks, but in some weeks, they can really hit deep. That's who I want with like the rest of these picks. So we'll see who's left when we get to our spot. Oh, I'll pull this up. There you all go. How many Best Ball Mania are you end up doing? I am maxing Best Ball Mania. So I'm doing all 150. And that is part of the Sunday video. I had someone comment that they wanted to see more examples. I think later in the season that'll happen. The thing is, like, I can only give so many example drafts that I've actually done for the Sunday video doing different draft strategies when like we're this early, like we're in June. I haven't drafted, 100 teams yet, obviously. But as we get into August, once I get 150 Best Ball Mania teams along with these ones I've done with you guys, like maybe some other ones on the side, I'm going to have more examples of teams that I've drafted. So, but yeah, I plan on maxing that and I plan on winning it. So don't even enter. Just kidding. This is sponsored by Underdog. Please enter. Okay, we're at 174. I like Curtis Samuel, a very quality player. I would argue that MVS is probably a better pick here, though. Right? I have him tanked, and if he's the second best player available there, pretty big ADP value. We're looking for weekly upside. I hate him because he's not that good. He's really not. I genuinely think that Justin Ross can beat him out. I think Justin Ross can beat out Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I don't think that should be a hot take at all. But his ADP is 157. If I'm wrong, 174 is a steal. Because if I'm wrong, he's worth a pick at like 130, 140 probably. And I just got a huge discount. And honestly, like we said, want that a weekly upside. Let's just hope MVS gets like 4 weeks where he hits his upside. How many cardio drafts have you done so far? Not enough, I'll tell you that much. I think only 3. I haven't been able to because I have football every Saturday and I keep having like little hamstring pulls after every week and I recover by the next week. Plus I have football practices on Wednesdays. And so there's really only a few days a week that I can do these Best Ball Mania drafts. And then New Hampshire's been trash recently with the weather. It's been like rainy and kind of like gross. So not as many as I want. I would definitely like to do for the rest of summer 1 a week for sure. But that only leaves, maybe 15. I'll probably end up doing around 15. Probably around 15 of those. Also hoping that we can take down that one. Because, hey, first place in those Best Ball Mania drafts for Cardio Club. So that's just like, I think people are a little concerned about Cardio Club being like, oh, I don't think I can go for a run for 45 minutes while drafting. You can do a walk. Like, they're not strict about this. If you want to go outside on a nice day and do a 45-minute walk while drafting, that counts as a Best Ball Mania draft for Underdog Cardio Club. So definitely try and get in because you get your rake back once you're into the club. And whoever wins it, highest scoring regular season team, you can get a free max entry into Best Ball Mania 5. So I'm definitely going for that. I'm hoping that I can take that down because you're going up against a way smaller field. Like for normal Best Ball Mania, 600,000 people you have to beat to get top prize. It's way less than that are doing cardio while drafting. So your pool of people that you're going up against is so much smaller. Okay. If Knox is here at our next pick, we would have, but I just checked the bye weeks. We do not want to double dip on week 13 here. I won't do it. No, I'm not gonna take another tight end at this pick. So I'm gonna wait till 17 or 18 to do that. Wide receiver looking gross. And this is the part of the draft that's getting tougher. Earlier this offseason, there were definitely options in these ranges. That those options like really start to fall off right now. I think people are being pretty sharp with where they're taking players. I don't even know. Who has the highest weekly upside? In this group? Gosh, these are all reaches. Should I just take a tight end? But I don't even care which tight end I would get. No, let's take a wide receiver. I already have so much Nathaniel Dell. I don't want to take more. Why don't we go with Shakir? I don't know. Shakir's got some upside. What if Shakir, who had a much deeper ADOT than I was expecting last season, what if Shakir can get more of the slot usage? If this whole thing about Dalton Kincaid getting snaps from the slot, 2 wide receiver sets, maybe that's overblown a little bit, and that there's still plenty of times where Shakir is playing in the slot. Because also, I mean, if they just don't use a running back, they can also get a wide receiver on the field there. I don't know. He's got weekly upside for sure. Just being on that offense and being used really deep downfield, especially if you can just like grow in year 2. They don't have Isaiah McKenzie anymore. I don't know. It's a fine pick. Trying to get upside here. I don't love it. I don't love it though. But really, it's just like, I mean, if we're looking at the rest of the people I want, again, Puka, Wilson, Ross, Tucker. It's like, I really just want to target these young players that we really don't know what their ceiling is. Maybe they're a lot better than we think. Maybe they have these huge breakouts. I don't want to target Westbrook-Ikhine. I don't want to target like Mac Hollins, Allen Robinson, Russell Gage. Like, we know they're not going to be that great. We know they're not breaking out. Maybe these rookies can break out. So I'll take one of them probably at the next pick. I probably should have just taken one of them instead of Shakir. But honestly, Shakir might be overlooked a little bit this season because people are assuming Kincaid's going to be on the field all the time, which, I mean, he's not going to be, 100% snap player. At tight end, who do I actually want here? I mean, probably Mayer. Oh, my goodness. Another week 13? Gosh. There's so many week 13 buys. I'll decide that later. I don't even care. Let's go. What if I took Ross, though? What if I took Justin Ross? Yeah. Why don't I do that? I can basically just say I've done a combined pick of, we'll pull this up. My combined 15th and 17th round picks are who wins. Maybe MVS wins and my 17th round pick doesn't work out, which who really cares? Maybe Ross wins and he shatters his ADP and the 15th round pick doesn't work out. Again, who really cares? One of them is probably going to get a decent amount of snaps. And maybe, maybe it is they split and it's just like, here's the MVS week, here's the Ross week. And they kind of keep alternating. And with this late pick, I just kind of rotate through that production. That's the thinking there. Totally fine doing that late. I see people do it with running backs sometimes. I don't love it as much because you have so many wide receiver picks you can do, especially when you feel good about your running backs. If I'm going to take 5 running backs, I don't want 2 of them to be on the same team usually. But if I have, a billion wide receivers, like we're going to end up with how many? We're going to end up with 10 wide receivers. No, 9. We're going to end up with 9 wide receivers here. 2 late ones on the same team. That's fine. But we're not going wide receiver with our last pick. We are going to go with tight end. I guess Fant, if they really are telling the truth and they use plenty of 2 tight end sets, even with JSN, Fant could be productive. He's also very highly athletic. So it's like he could have just like 3 random games where he, hits for some long touchdowns. Gesicki would probably be someone I would look to. If Gesicki hits, maybe he's being used as a wide receiver at times. And that would obviously be much better than many of the tight ends in this range. Ugh. It's like tough to even make a case for many of these players. Like maybe Jelani Woods, but I don't think they're gonna be a very high volume offense, and they have other tight ends as well. But yeah, maybe Jelani, and like no one down here for sure. Maybe Cade. That would kind of be what I'd looking at if we're just going for who could like really break out this season. Because again, I'm just assuming Mark Andrews is going to kind of take most of those spots. You love Penny this year, maybe just because Swift burned you after the fantastic start last year. No, I really like Penny too. He just fits the offense so much better than Swift does. And if all their production for the running backs really does come in the red zone, like rushing touchdowns and stuff like that, like wouldn't you want Penny over Swift? And yet he goes way later. So yeah, I definitely love him. Does stacking bye weeks not matter in this format? I don't 100% know what you mean, but basically I'm assuming you mean, am I concerned that I have like 3 running backs with a week 5 bye? I think it'd be Fant, right? Yeah, I think it'd be Fant. Yeah, like it's really not the end of the world. I never really look to I don't look at bye weeks all that much. Like, do I want 4 of my 5 of the week 5 bye and I'm automatically taking a 0 in week 5? No, but it's not the end of the world, and it really only comes out at the tight end position. I don't want to be having the 2 tight ends, like I said before. Let's open this up. You guys can see. I don't want to be having 2 tight ends with the same bye, and then only having the 2 tight ends. That doesn't make much sense. But if you're gonna, have slightly fewer points in week 5, you're probably making up for it in all the other weeks where you're getting, extra production from these players. So now bye weeks don't matter too much, but pay attention at quarterback and tight end, and just make sure you don't draft like all of your running backs with the same one. It typically is not going to matter at all for wide receiver, because if you're drafting usually at least 7 of them, I mean, what are the odds you drafted all of them with the same bye? Can you explain the A-chain love? You get the speed and the pass catching ability, but really small size, more of a specialist role than anything. Well, definitely not if Dalvin Cook comes. Like, we don't want him as much then. But it's really just that, like, you don't even need that many touches to be productive on the Miami offense as a running back. I mean, I think I have him projected for in the 30s, like the 30s percentage wise for like their backfield carries. Like, I'm not projecting him for 60% of the workload. Like, maybe 30 something, like maybe 35% of their carries. He's going to project well because it's a very efficient offense. There's going to be plenty of scoring opportunities, plenty of games where they're up. And so it's just a good backfield environment to have someone on. And when you have a running back going in, the range that he is, like, look at everyone else. Let's see. He went 114. I mean, do you like the Commanders offense in a 3 running back committee? Do you like the Packers potentially putrid offense in a 2 running back committee? Potential 3 running back committee in Seattle? Like, there's a lot, and those are all the ones going earlier than him. Like, there's just so many committees already that if he's going to get, around 30-40% of the workload, that is plenty for him to do well. He's one that, like, the analytics community, I think, really likes. My model really liked him. Just his, like, underlying metrics in college are really, really good. They translate to the NFL. But yeah, I mean, he's not going to have 250 touches, but like, we don't need that in round 10, right? In a weird format, let's say you start 5 wide receivers or has 3 running back spots or something. Is there a bigger impact on the later rounds or earlier rounds? No, it's an equal impact. Like, if you have 5 starting wide receivers, people are going to just hammer wide receiver early. But it also means when you get into this spot, people are still going to be looking like, okay, I need like 10 wide receivers. You're just going to see them coming off the board all the time. Everything's going to be pushed back for the position. So I wouldn't say it affects it more early or late. It just affects it all in general. Like, if you have 5 wide receivers, expect them to go off the board a lot. Okay. This is the part where we need to shout out Underdog. We need to say, this is where you can draft. I know many of you are in states where you don't think that you can play because there's like no sports betting. it is not sports betting doing Underdog. Anything you see here that is either yellow or gray. I'm in a gray state right now, New Hampshire. All those ones you can draft. So if you want to sign up, it is totally legal to do so, totally fine to do so. But if you're in a state that's black here, don't sign up because you are not allowed to play. Pick'em, a little bit different. The grays mean you can't play in Pick'em. I don't personally do that as much. I think many of you would much prefer to do drafts like we're doing right now. Best Ball Mania, all of those. Best Ball Mania is the largest tournament. They told me this the other day and I was pretty surprised. It is the largest fantasy tournament ever. Like there has never been a fantasy football tournament with more prize money than Best Ball Mania for this season. I think that's a pretty cool thing to compete in. So definitely a cool thing there. Got to show the responsible gaming graphic here. Please follow the rules, not only in your state, but if you have a problem, obviously call the numbers we see on the screen. Also, you guys can see on the right of the screen, if you use promo code FFA, they're going to match your first deposit up to $100. So you put in $75. You're like, I'm doing a ton of drafts this summer with Nick. They'll double that. So they'll get it up to $150. You're also going to get access to my Underdog rankings. You're going to get my Underdog articles, my Underdog optimal strategy app. So there's definitely benefits to signing up for Underdog. They're going to like double your deposit and get all this free content on my website. So definitely a good season to be signing up. All right. One more question, and then we're going to hop on out of here. Do you like A-Chain or Charbonnet more going forward? Asking for Dynasty. For Dynasty purposes, I should probably just pull up the Dynasty rankings. If we're just talking in terms of like players, I think Charbonnet is a much better player than A-Chain. And typically in Dynasty, when you have that long time horizon, you kind of do want to look at like the skill level of the player. I'm pretty sure I do have A-Chain ranked higher though. Yeah. So if we're doing a Dynasty rookie draft, Bijan, Gibbs, then A-Chain, then Charbonnet. That would be for just running backs. Those would be the four. So I do have Charbonnet behind. But again, in terms of the actual player that is playing, I think Charbonnet is really good. And so if he could ever get a featured role, that would be awesome. The problem is we just like it's a much more sure thing for A-Chain if Cooks doesn't go there. But if Dalvin Cook ends up going to Miami, then I'm probably going to have to tank A-Chain in Dynasty rankings as well, because that's going to be 1 year where he's not going to be as useful. It's just going to hurt his development a little bit more, hurt his upside a little bit more. So we'll see. It really, if you think that Dalvin Cook is going to Miami, Charbonnet. If you don't think that happens, A-Chain. All right. That's going to be the end of this one, guys. Tomorrow, right? Yeah, tomorrow is the tight end strategy video. Thursday is going to be the player breakdown, Higgins, Olave, and Devonta Smith. Friday, league winners. Hit the like button if you guys are still in the stream right now. But I'll catch you guys on next week's stream. Probably at 6:30, we'll do a Best Ball Mania 3 draft. Oh, Best Ball Mania 4 draft.